Under the Water Act, two main authorities are envisaged for implementing the provisions of the Act. At the central level, we have the Central Pollution Control Board, and each of the states has a State Pollution Control Board. In terms of functions of the Central Pollution Control Board, the main function of the Central Pollution Control Board, or the CPCB, is to promote cleanliness of streams and wells in the state. It can also lay down, modify or annul standards for streams and wells in consultation with the state government. It provides advice to the central government, and it's also responsible for coordinating the activities, resolving disputes among, and providing technical assistance and guidance to state pollution control boards, besides performing several other functions as stated in the Water Act. In terms of functions of the State Pollution Control Board, or the SPCB, the Water Act provides for a very detailed list of functions. The State Pollution Control Board is responsible for classification of waters of the state, for laying down, modifying or annulling a whole range of effluent standards for sewage or trade effluents, for the quality of the receiving water resulting from the discharge of effluents, laying down effluent standards to be complied with by persons while discharging sewage and or sullage, laying down standards for treatment of sewage or trade effluents to be discharged into a stream. It is also responsible for evolving economical and reliable methods of treatment of sewage or trade effluents, methods of utilization of the treated effluents in agriculture, and for efficient methods of disposal of the treated effluents on land in certain cases. The other important function that the State Pollution Control Board is required to perform is reviewing the disposal system of sewage effluents, works and plans for sewage treatment, or in connection with the grant of any consent. It is also responsible for making, varying or revoking an order for prevention, control or abatement of discharge of waste into streams or wells, as well as for requiring any person concerned to construct new systems for disposal of sewage or trade effluents, or to modify, alter or extend existing system, or to adopt necessary remedial measures to prevent, abate or control water pollution, which is the main objective of the Water Act. The other important thing that the SPCB does is to provide advice to the state government with respect to the location of an industry whose operations is likely to result in water pollution. As we can see, a whole range of functions are envisaged under the Water Act insofar as the CPCB and particularly the SPCB are concerned. The Water Act also sets out a number of prohibitions. For example, it prohibits anyone from knowingly causing or permitting the entry of any poisonous, noxious or polluting matter directly or indirectly into any stream or well or sewer or on land. Further, it prohibits knowingly causing or permitting the entry of any other matter into any stream which may tend either directly or in combination with similar matters to impede the proper flow of the water of the stream in a manner leading or likely to lead to a substantial aggravation of pollution due to other causes or of its consequences. The important thing to take note of here is the requirement that the causing or permitting the entry of any of this matter must be done knowingly. Therefore, the burden of proof which has to be discharged is quite significant, proving that someone has knowingly caused or permitted the entry of any of the listed matters into a water body. Now, what is this poisonous, noxious or polluting matter or other matter is something which is left to be determined by the State Pollution Control Board through the standards that it lays down in discharge of its functions under the Water Act. But this provision is not absolute. Exemptions can be provided, and the State Pollution Control Board may exempt certain persons or industries from the exercise of this provision. But in case a person is found to be guilty of violating this provision, the contravention will result in imprisonment as well as fine. The important feature of the Water Act is the permit system under the Water Act. What it basically means is that previous consent of the State Pollution Control Board is required before anyone wants to establish any industry, operation or process or any treatment and disposal system, etc., which is likely to discharge either sewage or trade effluents into a stream or well or sewer or on land. In other words, what we know as a sewage discharge. Or when somebody wants to use any new or altered outlet for sewage discharge, or when wants to make any new sewage discharge. And in case of failure to obtain this permission from the State Pollution Control Board before engaging in any of these activities, the contravention will be punished with an imprisonment between 18 months and 6 years as well as with fine. Now, in addition to the functions of the State Pollution Control Board under the Water Act, a number of powers have also been given to the State Pollution Control Board. For example, the SPCB can undertake certain emergency measures to remove and dispose polluting matter, or to remedy or mitigate pollution caused by polluting matter, or issue orders immediately restraining or prohibiting polluting activity. The SPCB can also apply to courts to restrain apprehended water pollution in streams and wells. This is a very interesting provision because what this basically means is that the SPCB cannot directly restrain the apprehended water pollution. It does have to go to a court of law, and then the court may direct a potential polluter to desist from causing pollution. Now, the court may also direct an actual polluter, and this is not a potential polluter but an actual polluter, to remove the polluting matter. But in case the actual polluter fails to comply with the direction of the court may authorize the State Pollution Control Board to undertake the removal of the polluting matter and its disposal, and then to recover the expenses incurred by the SPCB from the polluter. The other important power that the SPCB can exercise under the Water Act is the power to direct closure, prohibition or regulation of any industry, operation or process, or to stop or regulate supply of water, electricity or any other service to such industry, operation or process. The Water Act also includes a reporting requirement. It states that any person in charge of an industry, operation or process, or any treatment or disposal system, or any extension or addition thereto, as well as a local authority which is in charge of a sewage system or sewage works, must report any actual or likely discharge of a poisonous, noxious or polluting matter into a stream or well or sewer or on land as a result of an accident or other unforeseen act or event to either the State Pollution Control Board or an authority prescribed. Coming to another important and related legislation, we have the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Cess Act of 1977. The objective of this act is to augment the financial resources of the CPCB and the SPCBs, and it does this through levying a cess on the water consumed by persons carrying on certain industries as well as on local authorities. However, a 25% rebate is to be given to any person or local authority that installs sewage treatment plants or trade effluent treatment plants. This is supposed to be an incentive to treat the sewage or the trade effluents, and therefore to cause also a reduction in water pollution. However, in practice, either the water cess is not assessed and levied by the authorities, or even if it is levied, it remains unpaid by the consumers, and the collection of the cess is also not pursued by the State Pollution Control Board.